I didn't fall for him because he was perfect. I fell for him because every time I thought I was finally ready to let go, he gave me just enough to stay. One late-night message. One unexpected compliment. One afternoon where he looked at me like I actually mattered. And then, nothing. Days would pass. Sometimes weeks. I told myself he was busy, that he had his own problems, that he just needed time. But if I'm honest, I wasn't waiting for a text anymore. I was waiting for proof that I hadn't imagined what I felt. That's the part nobody talks about. When you chase someone who's emotionally unavailable, you're not only trying to reach them. You're trying to rescue your own reality. Because once you've shared pieces of yourself with someone, it's terrifying to believe they experienced those moments differently than you did. So your mind starts rewriting the story. Maybe I came on too strong. Maybe I should have waited longer before replying. Maybe if I looked better. Maybe if I stopped asking for reassurance. Maybe if I became easier to love, he would finally stay. And slowly, your entire personality becomes a negotiation. You stop saying what hurts. You stop asking where things are going. You rehearse messages before sending them. You delete half of what you write because you don't want to sound needy. You laugh when something hurts because you're afraid honesty will make you look dramatic. Without realizing it, you stop behaving like someone in a relationship. You start behaving like someone trying not to be abandoned. That's a completely different way of living. People think emotional trauma always comes from screaming, or betrayal, or obvious cruelty. Sometimes it comes from never knowing where you stand. One day you're everything. The next day you're invisible. Nothing terrible happens. Nothing obvious breaks. But your nervous system never gets to relax. Every notification makes your heart race. Every silence makes your stomach drop. Every scene without a reply feels like your value is being quietly measured. Eventually, you stop checking your phone because you want to. You check because your body can't tolerate not knowing. That's what uncertainty does. It doesn't just occupy your thoughts. It occupies your nervous system. I remember convincing myself that I wasn't asking for much. I only wanted consistency. A conversation that didn't disappear halfway through. Plans that actually happened. Someone who meant tomorrow when they said tomorrow. But after enough disappointment, even those things started feeling unrealistic. I lowered the bar so many times, I forgot where it was supposed to be. When he replied after disappearing for days, I felt relieved instead of hurt. Think about that. Relieved. The very behavior that wounded me became the thing that comforted me. That's how emotional conditioning works. Pain becomes familiar. Familiar becomes safe. Safe starts feeling like love. People often ask why someone doesn't just leave. As if walking away is simply a decision. It isn't. Not when your hope has become chemically attached to uncertainty. Because every small moment of affection feels like evidence that everything painful was finally worth enduring. It's the same reason people keep pulling the handle on a slot machine. Most pulls lose. But one unexpected win convinces them the next one might change everything. That's exactly how inconsistent affection feels. Not romantic. Neurological. Your brain stops chasing the person. It starts chasing relief. And relief always seems one conversation away. The worst part wasn't wondering whether he loved me. It was wondering why I needed him to. Why did one person's attention suddenly determine whether I felt attractive, interesting, enough? That question led somewhere uncomfortable. Long before I met him, I'd already learned to earn love. Growing up, acceptance often felt conditional. Being different meant paying attention to people's reactions before showing them who I really was. You learned to scan faces, watch tone, predict rejection before it happened. So when someone became emotionally inconsistent later in life, your body already knew the routine. Stay quiet. Don't ask for too much. Make yourself easier to keep. Maybe then they won't leave. The relationship didn't create that survival strategy. It simply woke it up again. That's why emotionally unavailable men can feel strangely irresistible. Not because they're your soulmate, because they activate wounds that have been waiting years for someone to heal them. The tragedy is that the person reopening those wounds is rarely capable of healing them. Still, you wait. You tell yourself they're afraid, not ready, confused. Healing. You become an expert at understanding them, while slowly forgetting yourself. You know their childhood, their fears, their commitment issues, their past heartbreak. But if someone asked what you needed, you'd struggle to answer, because your emotional life has become completely organized around someone else's limitations. One day I realized something that terrified me. If he suddenly became emotionally available, I didn't even know who I would be anymore. My identity had become the pursuit itself. Waiting, hoping, explaining, forgiving, trying again. Those behaviors weren't part of my life anymore. They were my life. That's when I understood something I wish someone had told me years earlier. The opposite of emotional unavailability isn't constant attention. It's emotional safety. Safety so quiet that your body stops monitoring every word. Safety where you don't rehearse conversations before having them. Safety where affection isn't a reward for patience. Safety where love doesn't feel like solving a puzzle designed to never be completed. Looking back, the hardest thing wasn't accepting that he couldn't love me the way I wanted. It was accepting that I had spent so long surviving emotional uncertainty that peace felt unfamiliar. I confused calm with boredom, consistency with a lack of chemistry, stability with the absence of passion, because chaos had become the language my nervous system understood. Healing didn't begin when he finally left. Healing began when I stopped asking why he couldn't choose me and started asking why I believed I had to earn the kind of love that should never have required proving in the first place.